Hey everyone, good evening. Tuesday, July 22nd. Oh, lots to talk about, lots to go over. Let's give it a minute, have some more people join. Good evening, Farah, Shay J. Today, we're going to go over some interesting things. Some of my personal experiences that I could relate to, that I could give you guys some inside look on what's going on. But before we get started, I want to do a special shout out and thank you to Ben Milas, Jordy Milas, Brett Milas, and the whole Midas Touch Network, the Midas family, for today putting a letter that I think is extremely important that I put out there, my Substack letter from the morning, that is called Trump Sends His Fixer to Silence Maxwell Before the Truth Gets Out. They put it on their Midas Plus network. And it's, again, thanks to each and every one of you by going out there, spreading the news, making sure that it's getting out. And now the Midas guys are putting it out and reporting on it. And more media is starting to pick up on what we're talking about here. Because, like I said to you guys, we're not here to speculate or give opinions. The stuff that we're talking about is coming to you from a lot of very, very serious sources that risking the every single day. Hey, Candace, thank you for subscribing. Welcome to the family, everybody. Welcome, Candace. So, where do we begin? We got a lot to talk about. So, first of all, let's talk about actually some of the things that have started off to it. Before we go into the Epstein stuff, before we go into the my relationship with Todd Blanch, and I'm going to give you a little bit today of what's happening and what to expect. And here we keep our eye on the ball. Let's talk about what Donald Trump tried to do today. And Donald Trump tried to again change the news cycle, and his new way of trying to, which everything he's trying to do is not working. And I want to say again, because of our voices, because of your voices, because if you remember July 4th weekend when this story first broke, when all the pundits out there were talking about in the media where this is a no big deal, don't think about it, don't talk about it, it's not, whatever. I told you, keep the pressure on. I told you, this is his kryptonite. This is Donald Trump's kryptonite. This is MAGA's kryptonite. And the more pressure we put on, the more mistakes he's been making, the more things that are happening. And so I could tell you, now his new distraction is he's going after ex-President Obama. He's now bringing back about Russiagate. And today I want to let you listen, actually, to the craziness of how he's trying to deflect of what's really happening today, and how he wants us to talk about Obama. I want you to listen to this. This is from the Oval. This is a deranged man talking. So Tulsi Gabbard submitted a criminal referral to the DOJ.
The DOJ target as part of their investigation? What specific figures in the Ohio?
Well, based on what I read, and I read pretty much what you read, it would be President Obama. He started it. And Biden was there with him.
Okay.
And Comey was there.
Comey.
And Clapper, the whole group was there. Brennan, they were all there in a room. Right here. This was the room. This is much more beautiful than it was then, but that's okay. I have nice pictures up. They came out of the vaults. They were in there for 100 years. This is much more beautiful. We have the Declaration of Independence now in the room, which wasn't here. I guess people didn't feel too good about putting it here, but I do. But you know what? If you look at those papers, they have a stone cold, and it was President Obama. It wasn't lots of people all over the place. It was them too. But the leader of the gang was President Obama, Barack Hussein Obama. Have you heard of him? And except for the fact that he gets shielded by the press for his entire life. That's the one they look. He's guilty. It's not a question. I like to say, let's give it time. It's there. He's guilty. This was treason. This was every
Treason.
word you can think of. They tried
Every
to
word.
steal the election. They tried to obfuscate the election. They did things that nobody's ever even imagined, even in other countries. You've seen some pretty rough countries. This man has seen some pretty rough countries. You've never seen anything like it.
And I mean, I want to let you hear. This is Marjorie Taylor Greene outside today, outside the stairs in Congress, talking about the Epstein file.
The highest volume of calls into my
What's this? Hold on a second.
Series 6.
So this is her talking about her getting calls right now. Listen to this, Marjorie Taylor Greene.
The highest volume of calls into my office have been about Epstein. People want the information. They don't want things covered up. CNN exclusive.
They don't want
Serious
things.
issue.
They don't want things covered up. Let's continue some stuff. So President Obama responded. Let's hold on a second. Let's give you President Obama's response to Donald Trump's stupidity. Hold on, let me get that here. Out of respect for the office of the presidency, our office does not normally dignify the constant nonsense and misinformation flowing out of this White House with a response. But these claims are outrageous enough to merit one. These bizarre allegations are ridiculous and a weak attempt at distraction. Nothing in the documents issued last week undercuts the widely accepted conclusion that Russia worked to influence the 2016 presidential election, but did not successfully manipulate any votes. These findings were affirmed in a 2020 report by a bipartisan Senate Intelligence Committee led by then little Marco Rubio. So, Obama basically slapped him, told him, showed him what's going on, what's happening. And now, hold on a second. Oh, I see Malcolm's out there, guys. Somebody just texted me. Malcolm's on there. Love him, my brother. You got his thing going on. We're all talking about my thing here today. Is I'm going to tell you about what's going on with what's his name, Todd Blanch, and some of the things that I think it's important for you to keep your eyes on the ball. First of all, let's get to some stuff here. I want to go over a timeline with you guys, basically of what transpired over the past week. That's important for you guys to keep your eye on. So, hold on a second. Let me get out of here. So, okay, here we go. Where's my timeline. My timeline. Okay. So, for those of you that don't know, first of all, I want to tell you that Maxwell, she's not some dummy. She's not. She is a very, very evil human being. And Maxwell is somebody that I don't want advocating for any leniency on her, because I think she's just as guilty as, if not more guilty, than Epstein. But Maxwell right now is playing a dangerous game by sending out a little bit of information here and there. Well, when you saw what happened with the Wall Street Journal, I know a lot of people are out there, pundits, and I'm not going to get into it. I know a lot of you are upset with some of the things that are happening, but I could tell you that was more than just a release of to try to embarrass Donald Trump. That was more of a message, because there was a string of events that transpired. When the Wall Street Journal released the letter from Donald Trump, there's very few people that had access to that letter. because that was part of Epstein's 50th birthday. And Maxwell is one of them that was involved in the planning and coordinating and getting these letters, and she had access to these letters. If you recall, those of you that might not know what happened in the timeline, but Donald Trump called Rupert Murdoch and threatened him not to release this information. As my sources reported, I told you that Rupert Murdoch told him that we have a lot more and we're going to release it. At that point, they released a letter, and Donald Trump sued for $10 billion. This is all part of a show. This is all part of, Donald Trump trying to show his base that he is going after Epstein, and that, after, Murdoch, and that this is all a lie, that, he would. And then you have people coming out there saying that he doesn't doodle, that he doesn't, talk like that. My sources are telling me that the Donald Trump is definitely is connected to this letter, and this letter came from Maxwell through her attorneys. They pushed it, and that's why right afterwards there was a meeting. I don't know if you guys know, between J.D. Vance and Rupert Murdoch. And this was a couple of days ago, where Rupert Murdoch with Vance went to find out what they had. After that meeting with Murdoch and Vance, today you saw a statement come out from, all of a sudden, the Trump's DOJ, from Attorney General Pam Bondi and Todd Blanch. And the statement reads as, "This Department of Justice does not shy away from uncomfortable truths, nor from the responsibility to pursue justice wherever the facts may lead. The joint statement by the DOJ and the FBI of July 6 remains as accurate today as it was when it was written. Namely, that in the recent thorough review of the files maintained by the FBI in the Epstein case, no evidence was uncovered that could predict an investigation and against uncharged third parties." So what Todd Blanch and Bondi are saying so far are, they're doubling down and saying that our July 6th letter saying that we're shutting this down is basically still stays in effect, and that there's really no new evidence to go after any third parties, meaning that all those thousands of videos and thousands of child trafficked and child sex offenders, sexual kids that were trafficked and assaulted sexually, that by all these, you heard, for those of you that were here, you heard Katie Johnson's, her own voice, talking about these orgies, talking about all of these kids, 13 to 16 years old, being the oldest, of having it with all these rich men. And now they're talking about shutting it down. But it continues. It gets crazier. President Trump has told us to release all credible evidence. If Maxwell has information about anyone who has committed crimes against victims, the FBI and the DOJ will hear what she has to say. Really? Why didn't you listen to her, what she had to say maybe before the trial, or when she was trying to talk earlier? Because if you recall, one of the things I didn't start off with, what I should have, is that Maxwell, before starting leaking stuff to the Wall Street Journal, Maxwell tried to do an appeal, get a new trial. Her lawyers reached out, wanted to testify in front of Congress, but those to no avail. The Republicans were shutting it down. The Republicans were trying to close it. So then comes out this letter all of a sudden, after the letter was leaked at the Wall Street Journal. Now we have a chain of events after Trump sues Murdoch. Murdoch meets with J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance tells Trump that Murdoch is getting the stuff from Epstein. And now all of a sudden Trump, like my letter said, sends his person to go ahead and shut Epstein down. Not Epstein, shut Maxwell down. So it continues, it says, "Therefore, at the direction of Attorney General Bondi, I have communicated with counsel for Mrs. Maxwell to determine whether she would be willing to speak with prosecutors from the department. I anticipate meeting with Ms. Maxwell in the coming days." So he's going to meet the Assistant Attorney General of the United States of America, is going to go to the prison and meet with her himself. Unheard of. This doesn't happen in the real world, folks. Because I'll tell you what they did. Who should be meeting with her, and what they did is, on behalf of the department, had inquiries about her willingness to meet with the government. That changes now. So basically, Todd Blanch is saying that if Maxwell has something to say, I'm going to go listen to her. But so far in our whole investigation, there is nothing to really talk about. So he's giving you mixed signals in the meantime. But let me tell you what Todd Blanch and what this game plan is. Because first of all, they fired, if you remember, Maureen Comey. Maureen Comey was the prosecutor not only on the Epstein case but also on the Maxwell case. If they did not fire her and she still was around, she would be the one to be right now having to be involved in these conversations and these debriefments. So, what they did by firing her, now you have the assistant attorney general of the United States that's going to go himself to meet with a prisoner to take notes and to take. I'm curious to see who else is going to be there, because I promise you, there's not going to be too many people. What's it called? People around to be able to give any evidence to see what's happening, because I went through the same thing, and I'm going to give you my own personal experience with Todd Blanch and the DOJ and how they work when they try to shut you up, not or when they're trying to get information with you. And what I believe they're doing with Maxwell is they were trying to shut her up, and now they're going to try to use her and shut her up. So you saw all of a sudden Maxwell's attorney also respond by saying that yes, we are in communication with the DOJ, and he put in very interesting things, and he said something to the effect like, and we want to thank President Trump for getting to the bottom of the truth. Now, the one thing I want to warn everybody is that this Epstein situation, these pedophiles, these sick individuals that need to get prosecuted and were do not are not they don't have matter if they are what religion they are, what color they are, what race they are, what beliefs they have. It doesn't matter what party they belong to. They're all sick individuals. So that's why what's it called, doesn't matter who they are. That's why it doesn't matter who believe they all. So you got to be prepared that there's going to be not just Republicans or Trump, but there might be Democrats, there might be other, and it shouldn't matter, because it shouldn't matter what party you belong to. If you're a sick, perverted individual and hurting kids or females in any way, you need to be prosecuted and you need to pay the piper. That's where I believe, and that's the hill I am going to die on. So when it comes to that, so Epstein, what's it called? So now after J.D. Vance meets with Murdoch, Trump is sending in what's his name, Blanch, to shut her down. So now that I got you caught up to speed where we are, and by the way, simultaneously, you have supposedly in the Congress, you have the Oversight Committee that's about to subpoena her, Maxwell, to come to speak in front of the Oversight Committee, which is another very important thing for you to do, even though it sounds like, oh my God, the Republicans are joining us on to get to the truth. I want to stop you there, because this is fake. Because the leader of the Oversight Committee is a name by the name of Congressman James Comer. I know personally, James Comer is not going to do any hearing, any information that in any way would hurt Trump or in any way would embarrass him or in any way would somehow hurt his position. So the fact that they are right now doing what's it called? Saying that they're gonna get her, that they're going to subpoena her. This is all being set up to be able to have her give you certain information that she's going to get prepped on. Because remember, she was a part of a lot and she knows a lot. And when you're in that position, and when you're in a position where you have a person like Donald Trump that's willing to cut a deal with you, possibly for freedom, for you to be able to paint a story that benefits him, you're become all of a sudden a very useful situation. And the biggest telltale to all is that Donald Trump sits there today at the Oval when asked about his AG going to meet with Maxwell. He pretends like he knows nothing about it, folks. I mean, this guy needs to win not the Nobel Peace Prize. He needs to win an Emmy or an Oscar. He sits there and says, "Really, I know nothing about it." But it's he says it should be a good idea. Let them go take a look at what's going on. And I'm more concerned not about that. I'm more concerned about what's going on as far as the Obama stuff. Zev, what's up, my brother? Zev, if you want to come up, just type something. I'll send you an invite. You're more than welcome to come up while we're breaking the stuff. Let me see if Zev wants to come up, guys. I'd love uh I love Substack. You never know who jumps in, and we have a great community here. We have great people that have a lot of information. Zev, if you don't want to, just want to listen, no pressure, my brother. Up to you. But sending a love. Has Zev does a lot of great reporting, especially when it comes to Epstein. I think he also has today something coming out. Today's a busy day. I know Malcolm is on right now. Folks, trust me, I did not plan to compete with Malcolm or Zev or any of the because those of you that don't get a chance to see this live or Malcolm live or Zev, I'm sure all of this is going to be replayed. And so the great part about it is that it's all being taped, so you guys will be there he is. And what's up, my friend? Going to be replayed. And so the great part about
I'm sorry, I'm playing your audio back at you. I'm sorry.
I
Let
see.
me turn it off. So there we go. Sorry about that. Sorry. Hey, how are you doing? I wasn't planning on talking at all, but I just wanted to jump in and say hi and that you invited me. So here I am. But I've got a live that I'm doing. I think I'm doing with Olga in a few minutes. But I just enjoying your take, and I wanted to hear about all your big exclusive take that you had for this evening that you teased on our show earlier. So
awesome, brother. No, welcome. I just wanted everybody here wanted to send love and say hi. So I figured, just for you to come up quickly. Everybody that doesn't subscribe, make sure to subscribe to Zev and Olga. And those of you who have time, make sure if you some of them, our stuff is overlapping because there's so much breaking news and so much happening. But the great part, if you miss one or the other, we're all recorded. You make sure you go back and put out the information far and wide. But yeah, no, we're talking about Todd Blanch, and I'm going to tell the folks right now my own personal how I went through it with Todd and Blanch and Trump, and how
it's so interesting,
and how what I feel the next play is going to happen here, how they're going to use Maxwell, and I think Maxwell, not only are they going to use Maxwell, I think Maxwell's going to use them too. I think this is going to become a tool because you got to understand, Maxwell right now also has a lot of keys that she's holding for Trump, because like you yourself reported, who some of the main targets in these lists were Democrats. So now, if Epstein is willing to play ball and all of a sudden, this is where Blanche comes in. This is where Blanche's specialty comes in.
But I'm sure she's thinking it through, and I'm sure she has. She's got a secret stash of information stored away if anything happens to her, because let's face it, that's what really happened to Epstein. So whatever deal they're going to concoct with her, she's got some backup plans, I bet, where she's got her lawyers or somebody else that she trusts with a lot of information, that if they come back at her, if they renege on a deal or they try to, anything happens to her, she'll release it. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case.
Well, what my sources are telling me and what I'm hearing is this whole Wall Street Journal Murdoch is now in with Maxwell. She had her lawyers reach out to Murdoch. The letter was just a message to Trump that there's a lot more to come, and that's what brought J.D. Vance to meet with Murdoch, and that's what now brought Todd Blanch to now all of a sudden go meet with Epstein. This all happened in a period of 72 hours since the letter was published.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, Maxwell went within 72 hours where, remember, the DOJ was against even having her an appeal, talking to her.
It's amazing.
They wanted to have nothing to do with her. And all of a sudden, the Wall Street Journal publishes that letter. And here we are, 72 hours later, we have the Assistant Attorney General of the United States personally going to see her.
That is so interesting how quickly they've had to shift. And the panic in the White House is so tangible. Like you see it in everything, that they realize how serious this is and how much they've got to do so quickly. I'm also really interested in the J.D. Vance thing because J.D. Vance is just trying to stick it to Trump. You know that. He is just can't wait for the day that he gets to be the president of the United States. So he is, quietly surveying the territory and helping Murdoch along and probably indicating exactly, maybe even trading some policy decisions with Murdoch, just waiting for the moment where they can all off Trump. So Trump is feeling very lonely, I would think, at this point. He's not got his usual supporters. Someone I just read called it, there's just a coup in the making. There's you can feel it in the air, and Trump is getting more and more isolated and more terrified by the minute, I'm sure.
And this is where the biggest warning I want to put out there today to everybody, and with what's going on, my biggest fear, and I still have hope that the media and the people and that this works out, but I know the devil that we're dealing with, and part of the plan is going to try to right now give his base some red meat, try to make Maxwell into a hero against the deep state, have her validate that he has protect his ass, that he has nothing to do to clean up his garbage, and then have him give her a commutation, just like he's given the January 6ers and others, and basically somehow whitewash it. The only thing that keeps me going, Zev, that they won't get away with that, because if this was a financial crime or anything like that, I would definitely say that they might have gotten away with it. But because over here we have so many victims, there are so many young kids, girls, boys, women that are victims, and so many people that need to pay the piper and need to be held accountable, that even the his mega cult, even that some of them might be splitting, but the majority, it's not about, they want, and this is the one thing that I think everybody could unite on, is that we want justice for these victims.
Absolutely.
We want, and that's the number one thing. We need this cover-up to stop.
Well, there are financial crimes here, and that's, a lot of my reporting has been about the financial crimes and not about the women, because there's so much coverage on that. But there is justice that needs to be found for these poor people who are trapped in this situation, and to some extent they've gotten some money. They've got some funds already from the estate. They've already been made whole to some extent, but not really. Of course, you can never be made whole from that circumstance. But I think Elaine has a way out. She can say quite clearly, I was following orders. I'm basically a soldier and I work for an army, and that army gave me orders and I fulfilled those orders. And it may not be the things I wanted to do, but that's the way this army runs. I'm not saying it'll excuse everything she's done, but I think it's true. I think she was following orders. I think she ultimately was following the orders of both the Israeli military intelligence and of the Kremlin. And I think that they were instructed to do that. And that's how they kept the rest of the thing afloat. That's how they kept their other crimes hidden, was having them blackmail. It's very Putin to do this kind of thing. I mean, it's not, it's classic Kremlin compromise that they were getting. So they got what they needed and they used that as an insurance policy to protect themselves. So to me, that's the easiest thing for her to say, is that I was following orders. But the question is she going to come clean? Will she really spill the beans on everything? Which she could.
I don't think they need her. This is the whole key. This is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
This is not a mission to get down to the truth. This is a mission to cover up the truth and paint a narrative. just like they did with me.
Mhm.
That's why, we usually just think about that. Usually, if they arrested the person, they want to get to the bottom of the truth. This is what our, judicial system stands for. But after watching what Bill Barr and the first administration, and now with the Pam Bondi, Trump 2.0, I could tell you that this is not, a mission to get to the bottom of the truth.
No,
Trump is
no.
not sending Blanch in there to try to break Maxwell, to give him hold on everybody and everything. Quite the contrary. He's going in there to do damage control. He's going in there to see what she knows, what they could use. And that's so he could come back and figure out what is the game plan that they could figure out, how they could shift the narrative, how could they use it to their advantage, how could they flip it on the Democrats. And that's why I've been on several shows and I tell the Democrats, be very careful right now. Be very, very careful right now. Don't get caught up in the, where all of a sudden, some name comes out you don't like, or he tries to flip it, and all of a sudden you guys, lose your shit and don't know how to respond to it. I'm saying to you, you better be prepared. If
No,
you're
the names of
pushing,
Democrats, there'll be names of Democrats coming out. There for sure will be.
right. And then that's what I'm saying to you. Make sure you're pushing for those to come out. Make sure you don't try to then somehow cover up or try to now, you be the cover up, because that will blow up in their face. And so that's what I'm saying to you. That's part of my message, to be very careful, because Trump is a master of this. And right now, Maxwell, she's not your perfect witness. She's a manipulator that is a specialist and knows how to play the system, knows how to manipulate people, knows how to use major information, knows how to play in the big leagues, because that's, like you said yourself, she knows how to do it. And now having Trump as a willing a willing stooge, a willing, that useful
idiot.
idiot. Because now he's that useful idiot for her, because she could now manipulate and use him, because she doesn't. The crazy part about it is that before we would always talk about things like that, because you still think, okay, but you have to back it up with facts, evidence. We're living in a world right now where Donald Trump is the president, and the way the media is, that if Maxwell came out today and said something crazy like Donald Trump wasn't there and this guy was there, and Donald Trump wanted to push the narrative, nobody would even ask for validation. They would just say it long enough, more enough, until eventually everybody said, it has to be true. That's how crazy it is.
What's interesting to me is just listening to you, the Ghislaine actually has, if she stays alive, but she actually has the power to remove this president, which will be the ultimate revenge for her and Jeffrey Epstein, who, of course, it was under his watch, under Trump's watch, that that Epstein was first arrested. So, second time he was arrested in 2019. So it would be really interesting if Ghislaine actually lands up being the person who can off this president by saying what she does, and she must know that she has that power. That would make her actually very useful to a bunch of other people. Like, it would make her very useful to the Murdochs and the Vances of the world, who also have the same agenda, presumably right now. So she could be playing, both parties, seeing which side gives her the better deal. And really, at the end of the day, she might be the power behind all of this, who can determine who gets to win.
She's definitely holding the cards right now.
Yeah.
And that's why I want to tell everybody, our audience, keep your eye on the ball, and it's very simple. Just look at the chain of events. All of a sudden, that letter came out. That letter didn't just come out. There's only few people that could have that type of information.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, Murdoch, Vance, use the chain of events. And where does it all lead up to? All of a sudden, now we're going to speak to Maxwell.
Yeah.
Now,
private meeting.
All of a sudden, James Comey, the Republicans Oversight Committee, are going to subpoena Maxwell. This went for literally in 72 hours. 72 hours that nobody, she was a criminal. Nobody's going to speak to her. They were denying her appeal. Mike Johnson completely tried to stay away from it. Now to dismantle Congress till August or September.
Yeah, I mean, this is a huge crisis. The fact that the House is gone on break because they refused to even consider the vote. That's how much pressure is on the presidency right now. And you can tell by his deflection onto Obama all the time. This is about as big as it can get. The fact that he's going after Obama means that he is personally in the line of fire here, because he's going for the biggest person on the other side. Obama's going to survive, but I don't know if Donald Trump will survive. And it leads a whole bunch of other questions about, the guys that we get left behind with. But Donald Trump he's risked all his life, a lot of challenges, a lot of risky moves, a lot of bad deals, a lot of things. He's always survived. This one, I'm not so sure he's going to get out of, but we'll still see. He's an expert at these things, so maybe he'll just sneak away with it.
Well, it's all gonna depend on how this plays out, because right now Donald Trump, like you said, and like we just spoke about, Maxwell is holding a lot of cards.
Yeah.
And right now it's how Blanche negotiates it and how they play it, and it's going to be really interesting to see how far Donald Trump's willing to go by giving her freedom. It will be a big telltale of how far she's willing to go and what negotiations are happening behind the scenes.
Yeah, it's an interesting time. Hey, thanks for letting me drop in here. I don't want to take up your time, and I gotta get ready for Olga in a few minutes. So
Brother,
I'm gonna drop out.
You're always welcome, and everybody after we're done watching here, make sure you go tune in to Olga and Zev. The continuation happens.
Well, we're doing a Google Meet thing for our Authoritarianism 101, but everyone can still join there if they're paid subscribers. It's a good thing we just go through all the authoritarianism basics, and we're on principle number 8. So I got to study up for it, so I know what I'm talking about.
Send my love to Olga.
Okay, I will do. Cheers. Thanks so much for having me on. Bye-bye.
Brother. Zev, he's a great guy. Zev, Dean, Olga, Jay, Smart. These are all great independent journalists, great people that go out there. Really, the information. The interesting part is the information you're getting from people like Zev and others is not like that just regurgitated stuff that the pundits and CNN and MSNBC is playing. You're hearing little bits and pieces of new information every single time you listen. And I hate it, guys. I hate that we're competing. I see that Malcolm, I know a lot of you said Malcolm is on. I had no idea Malcolm was going to be on. I just had to make sure that I get you guys up to speed because I have to go put the kids back to sleep later. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to get up here later. But for those of you that are going back and forth, I apologize. I'm sure Malcolm has some major information also. So whichever one, tape one, watch the other, and vice versa. And I'm sure between both of them, you'll get a lot of powerful insight today because I know Malcolm also always brings the fire. So, guys, let me give you a little rundown on what I was trying to tell you about Todd Blanch and how he works and how I met him. And so Todd Blanch originally was a prosecutor line for ASU for the Southern District of New York. Then he left there to work for a big law firm and became part of the Paul Manafort team. Paul Manafort was represented by Todd Blanch, and he was represented by Kevin Downing. When I got arrested, Donald Trump had me represented by his personal lawyer at the time, who was John Dowd. And he also had me represented by Kevin Downing, who was one of Paul Manafort's attorneys. When my case was out of New York, I needed to get New York attorneys. Excuse me. So at that time, I was given Todd Blanch and another gentleman. When I decided to stop working with and talking against and speaking truth to power, talking about Donald Trump, my relationship with Todd Blanch severed. We went from him trying to help me and tell me to be quiet and everything is going to be okay, to all of a sudden him becoming an adversary. Todd Blanch then started proceeding representing my then co-defendant and ex-partner Igor Fruman. He tried to undermine every single interview I would come out to try to speak truth to power. He would try to lie and go to any degree to have it not come out. Then he even went to the extent to when I tried to and decided to hand over information to Congress, to the impeachment committee, to be against Donald Trump. He went to court to try to seal it and stop me from handing over the information. We kicked his ass and he lost. And Todd Blanch lost in court. My lawyer, my great lawyer, Joe Bondi, won. We were able to get the information. And out of the 300 articles of impeachment that were put in against Donald Trump, you guys could, when you have time, you could Google it and go take a look. 100 of those articles are evidence that I gave from videos, emails, text messages, and phone calls, and so on, so on, and so on. Todd Blanch of manipulation, I know very well. So when he's going in there right now to talk to Maxwell, this is not about sitting down and asking, because I even remember when I was arrested, the first thing my lawyer told me, Joe Bondi, when I decided I'm going to speak, he said to me, the one thing the Southern District of New York has is they have a motto: our doors are always open. So whenever you want to speak, they always want to listen to you because they always let you speak. The curious part that when I wanted to go speak, nobody would listen to me. Every time I brought up the conversation of Donald Trump, Rudy Giuliani, or Ukraine, all of a sudden I would be told that, keep quiet, or I might get charged with lying, or they don't want to hear, and nobody would want to speak to me. The only time they spoke to me, folks, the only time I had to sit down with the Department of Justice was after I went on my interview to do with Rachel Maddow. When I went on Rachel Maddow and I spoke to the world, they had no choice. They had to then sit down and talk to me. But even then, I realized something that is very important. When I sat down to speak to them, there was over 20 people in the room for every agency. It was Alphabet City, from the CIA, FBI, NSA. They all sat there, and each one of them had their assistants there with legal pads taking notes. When I ended up going to trial, and I had two of my attorneys there, and they also took notes. The interesting part is when we ended up going to trial, and when they handed over their documentation evidence of the notes that the DOJ took in that proffer that we were speaking, none of the notes had the name Donald Trump in there. None of the notes had the name Rudy Giuliani in there. None of the notes had, they literally lied and scrubbed the notes, because I spent 12 hours talking about everything, and some of the stuff, most of it had to do with Trump, Giuliani, Ukraine, and all of the stuff I was doing there. So when people turn around and say, oh, Maxwell had a chance to do it, she only had a chance to do it if somebody was going to listen to her back then. And I don't think, because remember, her information, she is the only person that would even touch somebody like Maxwell is Donald Trump. Because if you really understand the level of how deep this went, the whole Maxwell, Epstein, and all episode, it involved, like I said, it didn't matter if it was Democrats, Republicans, Independents. It involved all kinds of people, races, colors, religion, internationally, all over the world. So it didn't matter. That's why they've kept it quiet. That's why the cover-up said. But Donald Trump's not coming here to try to get to the bottom of it. He's not sending in Todd Blanch to go in there and get to the bottom of what actually happened. He's going in there to paint the narrative. He's going in there to try to figure out how he could, first of all, find out what does she actually have on him, or what can how she could help him. Two is, what does she have on anybody else that might be a Democrat, or somebody that Trump could use to shift the narrative or give his base the people. So this is what's happening right now. And this is why I wanted you guys to make sure to, like we always talk about, to keep your eye on the ball and make sure to understand what's going, and don't get distracted by all of them out there talking about letters or smetters. The bottom line is, this letter came from somebody, and this was a message to Donald Trump. This was a message from Maxwell, and the message came very quickly, and that's why today you had Todd Blanch, Donald Trump's figure, going to see her. And I want you guys to understand there's a lot more coming to this. There's a lot more behind the scenes that I'm going to be breaking to you. So make sure that this could be any time. This is a very hot flowing situation. So make sure if you haven't yet, subscribe, put your I know notifications on. Make sure you guys become paid subscribers, because I'm also going to be doing some later on tomorrow, some story time with Lev, and also some special Q&As with Alex and maybe some others, to be able to give you the paid subscribers some real Q&A. So definitely, guys, support. Also, before we go, it's getting late, and I know a lot of you guys are probably tired. I want to talk about quickly something that nobody's talking about today. I put a Substack letter out today also about how Russia is continuously hitting Kharkiv and other places in Ukraine. Literally for the next 50 days, Trump gave them full reign. We have a campaign going on right now with Voice from Ukraine with Alex that's going to Kharkiv to deliver aid. We have a GoFundMe set up for him, and we almost have our goal set. We're about 20% away from our goal, folks. I'm going to post it over here, the GoFundMe. Let's see if we could get it knocked out and get this aid to Ukraine. Hold on, I'm sorry. Oh, here, let me get it right here. There we go. I'm back. Okay, guys, there we go. There's the GoFundMe. For those of you can pass around, send it to everybody. Let's see what we could do to help the people of Ukraine, to get Alex, to get them the humanitarian aid that is so much needed right now. What can I say, guys? I want to thank each and every one of you for all the support, all the help, all the hard, tireless work you guys do, going out there spreading the message. I know there's a lot of going on. I know a lot of people are DMing me and talking about how we need to make sure that we don't let this die out. And I promise you, I told you that we were the first ones. Remember, when July 4th happened, when the first report about this Epstein stuff came out, when everybody was talking about how this is going to die out, we kept the pressure on. We kept and now just think about all the shows we went on, all the live Substack, all the letters we've written. We've kept this alive, and we've made the media keep it alive for the past 2 weeks. And this is why we're seeing all of these effects. This is why we're seeing Trump doing all of these crazy stuff. That's why we're seeing the mega implode. That's why we're seeing them go after each other, because of all the work we're doing. And now the next step is start to go into, like I said, I'm going to go on the road. After I go to Washington, D.C. At the end of July, I'm speaking with Congressman Raskin and others and trying to put a plan together. And in the next 60 to 90 days, with God's help, with your help, we're going to put together a game plan, putting together a team. Some of you out there that have DM'd me, I'm going to be calling you. We're going to be trying to put together from our subscribers, from our family, that people that want to help, not just financially, but like I said, they have skills of organizing, skills of putting on the show. So we're going to put on a road show. We're going to do speaking at town halls. We're going to go to schools, colleges, universities, places of prayer, synagogues, churches. I don't care where it is, as long as they give us a platform to talk, as long as people want to listen, to hear the truth and understand what's going on. I want to be there, and I want to make that for the next, until the 2026 election, until we get our House back, until we get our Senate back, and we get our power to be able to then stop this tyrant from what he's doing. I'm going to make it my mission with every single guy, and you're going to be side by side with me, because those of you that will be able to join me live wherever we're at. Those not, you guys are going to be with me on our platform, our right here, Substack. Wherever we are, we're going to be live. We're together because this is our home. There's lots of platforms where I might go on and try to bring awareness, but at the end of the day, this is our family. Substack is where I break my news. Substack is where I talk about everything. So make sure, guys, now more than ever, I need you to go out there to subscribe. I need you to bring 3-4 more people to this platform. I need you to become paid subscribers. Definitely let's get Alex over the top here. I'm posting his GoFundMe again. Let's get him to Kharkiv. The quicker we get this funds to him, the quicker he could go there and help out. And for those of you that can contribute to Venmo at Lev-Parnas. Oh, and definitely go to LEVREMEMBERS.com. You could definitely get the book Shadow Diplomacy there. You get some really cool merchandise, either from Lev Remembers, also from Voice of Ukraine. It's another great way to support our platform, support our mission here, and also get some great benefit, some cool stuff with it. So with that, I want to wish everybody a great night. Make sure you keep your eye on the ball. Make sure you spread the message and tell everybody what we're talking about here. Make sure you definitely hug your kids, hug your wife, hug your husband, hug your loved ones, because with all the craziness going on, the one thing that I'm always going to tell you, because I'm going to go do that right after I'm off here, I'm going to go hug my wife. I'm going to go hug my kids, give them a kiss and tell them how much I love them. Because sometimes with all of this Donald Trump bullshit, we forget to say, I love you. So go say I love you to the ones you love, because I know sometimes we get so busy and we get crazy with that. And again, guys, thank you for all the support. Keep going, keep putting the pressure on, and keep spreading the news and making sure far and wide. Have a great night. Take care.